I have had a good bit of time lately to think and process on some recent experiences. If you follow me on social media at all, you'll know that I was recently in the UK and then I got home and then I tested positive for COVID. You can watch a video I made right here before I got sick and before I got home, just having fun in London. London was awesome. I had a great time with the guys there. It was just incredible. But when I got home, and I got sick, I had a little time to just, sit and think and get introspective about my photography. And that has in turn resulted in today's video. While in London, I did a lot of street photography, and if you know me at all, I am not a street photographer. In fact, this was really my first time ever doing street photography. I'm mostly more of a landscape photographer, or if I wanted to take that into like a more pointed definition, I would say that my style is a bit more documentarian than like street or any other genre. Street photography was very different and required some very different things from me. And perhaps you, like me, are a landscape photographer and maybe you've got some interest in street photography, or maybe you're a street photographer and you're thinking about maybe trying to do some landscapes. If you're that kind of person, either way, this video is for you. So let's jump in and let's discuss street photography versus landscape photography. But real quick before we do that, if this is your first time here, my name is Dave. I'm a photographer and videographer from the Bay Area of California. Be sure to subscribe to this channel. I post 2 videos a week unless something goes horribly wrong, like getting COVID. I want to start off by talking about what I know best, and that is landscape photography. Landscape photography at its core is about capturing the beautiful scenes that the earth serves up every day. The mountains, the forest, the deserts, the oceans, and even that existential looking bison. You are storytelling with light and composition and your perspective, and if you're very lucky, some super dramatic clouds. With landscape photography, you just wait for that moment where the light and the shadows are playing really nice together, and you get yourself that shot that makes people want to book a trip to that spot immediately. And this is why tourism boards and travel companies want to work a lot with landscape photographers from a commercial standpoint. The thing about landscape photography is that it requires excellent planning and preparation. You can go out to shoot and hopefully bump into some good scenes along the way, but if you really want to make your best work, you're going to spend some time on the front end figuring out where you're going to go, what time you're going to be there, how the lighting is going to look when you are there, maybe even trying to brainstorm your different compositions by like playing around on Google Earth or Google Maps. Ultimately, great landscape photography does take a level of intentionality and planning on the front end before you show up to make the photo. For instance, the first time I ever went to the Grand Tetons many years ago, I didn't really know what to expect, and so I mostly just wandered around and took photos. Years later, I was hired for a campaign that I was going to shoot in that area, and because of that, I meticulously planned out where I was going to be, the lighting I was going to expect, the focal lengths that I wanted to use in those spots. I did a ton of planning, and because I did a ton of planning, my keep rate was super high on that trip. And that's a good example of what I think like really high level professional landscape photography is going to be and look like. A lot of planning, a lot of details, a lot of expectations, and then keeping your fingers crossed that the lighting is going to do what you're hoping it's going to do. Now, I want to completely compare that to street photography, or at least my experience with street photography in London. Because if landscape photography requires a lot of planning and details on the front end, street photography then is about capturing all these unscripted, everyday moments that make humanity feel unique and alive. You're literally capturing split-second stories, things that happen and will likely never happen again in the exact same way. And then you go out and do it again the next day or the next week, and it's a brand new experience, never the same thing twice. Street photography is kind of like watching for a shooting star or where lightning is gonna strike. You're only gonna have it that one time, that one moment, and then it's never gonna come back. Lightning never strikes in the same place twice, and if you're watching for shooting stars, you're never gonna see the exact same thing happen over and over again. Street photography requires a ton of reaction. It's literally the opposite in every way of landscape photography. Because when you go out, you have no idea what to expect or what's going to happen. You're just hoping you're going to be in the right place at the right time, and then that right thing is going to happen. And you don't even know what right thing is. It's just going to be something that is interesting. It's going to happen. With street photography, there is very little planning other than that route you're going to take. The rest is really just a combination of chance and luck and your ability to capture it. It's your eye and your ability to notice the things that are going on around you and your technical skills to make sure that when you see that thing, you're able to capture it very quickly. To me, that's the greatest difference between landscape photography and street photography. Are you a planner or are you really good at being reactive? Maybe you could say it like this: is your vision dialed in or is your eye dialed in? Your vision being the thing that you can see before you get there, and your eye being the thing that reacts to what you're seeing. Now, if we want to talk about the similarities between landscape photography and street photography, I think the biggest thing that these two genres of photography have in common is your need to have endurance. While I was in Glacier National Park just a week before heading to the UK, I spent an entire day out and about, and at the end of the day, I was looking at my step counter, and while my step counter was good and all, what I didn't realize I had done was I had climbed the equivalent of 192 floors throughout that entire day of hiking and taking photos. 192 floors, that is the Eiffel Tower, or like climbing the Empire State Building from the bottom to the top and then going another 27 floors up. Now, this is not a testimony to my fitness. Lord knows I am not that fit. I definitely have a 41-year-old's nice round body. But I think endurance is pretty important to be a great landscape photographer or a great street photographer. While I was out with my friends that day, I walked 40,000 steps. I don't think I've ever covered that many steps in a single day, ever. That is like 19 miles in a single day. We basically covered central London back and forth from sunrise to sunset and then into the night as well. The point I'm making here is that whether you're doing landscape photography or street photography, you've got to be able to push through the wall that your body is going to tell you, I don't want to do this anymore. Because endurance is critical to being a great photographer. The final thing that I want to mention about street photography and landscape photography is another thing that they have in common, and that is patience. With landscape photography, patience means getting up and getting out there and then waiting for the right moment to take the photo, when the lighting is hitting the way you want or when the clouds are right where you want them. Sometimes you get out and you just have to wait for the sun to come up. Other times you're waiting for that storm to pass. There's like no shortage of times where patience plays into the role of landscape photography. Now, with street photography, yeah, you move a ton, but then you find this scene and you're like, I like this scene a lot, and I just want there to be this one thing that'll happen in this scene. And so just like landscape photography, you plant and you wait. There was this one shot I got in Brighton where it was this alley. There happened to be no cars on this alley. The sea is in the background. And I was just thinking to myself, I just want to see a person walk through here or someone on a bike come through here. And I'm going to wait and capture that when it happens. The weather wasn't great. There weren't a ton of people out. I waited like 5-10 minutes or so, and then somebody walked by and I got the photo I wanted. Is it a great photo? No. But it was still something I had to have patience for in a street photography regard. I share this to say that patience doesn't always come easy. It certainly didn't come easy for me. So it's been a skill and a character trait that I've had to develop over the years. Because if I want to be the best photographer that I can be, patience plays a role in that. So I would encourage you to learn to be a patient person because it will pay off. And be patient with yourself as well, because you will spend a lifetime developing the technical skills that'll make you a great photographer. Ultimately, what I want to encourage you today with is whether you're shooting landscape, whether you're shooting street, or one of the other thousands of things you can shoot out there, trying something new and acquiring new skills is an awesome part of photography. Getting uncomfortable, trying something that you've never done before will only make you better. And if you're a street photographer curious about landscape, get to planning. And if you're a landscape photographer curious about street, then start noticing things. Be really observant of all that is going on around you. And then get the skills, whether you're landscape or street or something else, to capture that moment effectively and efficiently. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to subscribe to this channel. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.